Welcome back to the Kingswell Conversations. It's really great to have you here. These are conversations with heart that are shaping the future of foster care and adoption. And we're meeting together with Richard Kingswell, CEO of Extra Special Parents and FosterVA in Virginia, as we explore all the different dynamics that go into foster care and adoption over a series of episodes. And today on this episode, we're going to be talking a little bit about trauma-informed care. So Richard, thank you for joining us again today.
Good morning, Nikki. It's lovely to see you again.
All right, so this is one of your areas of expertise, as in an agency, and the service that you provide in Virginia is very much around trauma-informed care. But for those people that don't actually know what that means, what does trauma-informed actually mean in practice?
I think trauma-informed is understanding that these children have had a journey, and it's not been the most pleasant journey. And so we call that journey trauma. That could be from the abuse, neglect, hunger, medical neglect, educational neglect, things that most children hopefully will never experience. And so trauma-informed is understanding that the child is coming from a place of not being the best trusting person of adults, because they don't understand that the hunger and things like that is not normal in our society. But I think it repeats on a very important part that when these children come into foster care, and one of the reasons they get traumatized is they've been living a normal environment where food doesn't turn up all the time, where being assaulted, being punished in a very harsh manner, that's their norm. And so anything that changes their norm can cause trauma. And that's why so many kids in foster care have a trauma background, and PTSD, and that sort of understanding of post-traumatic stress because of the journey they've been through. So trauma-informed is for my foster parents and my adoptive parents to understand that these kids have been on a journey before they came through your door. And you have to look at that lens at all times to really help them understand that they're not angry at you, they're scared. They're not hoarding food because they are greedy. They're hoarding food because they don't know food is coming at the next meal, until you become a consistent parent and they start recognizing that food is going to turn up, warmth is going to turn up. When you get upset with your child, which is a normal part of being any parents, and you get frustrated, that you're not going to hurt them. You're going to have a conversation, and we're going to work out what is triggering this behavior, this feeling, this emotion, this sadness, this anger. And that's really my parents being trauma-informed, understanding the situation.
So these kids are coming to the table with so much stuff potentially from all different sources that's going to manifest itself in so many different ways on a day-to-day basis within a foster care environment.
Yes.
When you have, we touched on a previous episode around therapeutic foster care, treatment-based foster care. When you have these parents that have expressed an interest to come into this arena and say, I want to put myself forward and work with children that need a little bit more care, they need this kind of support. What training is provided for parents who want to go into an area where we have trauma-informed care?
Well, all parents in Virginia have to go through a licensing process. We don't give kids away. You have to work hard to have the privilege of being a foster parent. And the vetting process works in both directions. And so when a parent comes and says, I want to be a foster parent, the agency is vetting them, and they're vetting us to see if we're the right partner to be in their lives. And that journey takes time, from formal training in a classroom. It can be online, it could be in person, all the way through to home studies and us coming into your house and talking about who you are, your relationships. And it's an in-depth interview, and it's over a minimum of 3 days. It may be one staff, it may be multiple staff that come and visit your house, making sure the house is safe. So those sort of things are there so that we can first work on the physical safety, of the creating a safe environment for the child to go into. And so then we'd walk into the emotional safety of a child and the parents. So how do you respond to a kid that's been through trauma? Being flamboyant and arms flapping around and big loud voices, which is very normal. Some families are just loud families sort of thing. And I've been around a lot of Italians, and them not talking with their hands is like censorship across the board. So teaching them that it's okay to be happy, but in a crisis situation, we need to tone it down and things like that. And avoid yelling, avoid sudden punishments or consequences, be predictable, that if you do this, this is going to happen. I don't want this to happen, but you're making a choice. Those sort of things are very important to keeping a safe environment.
And do you teach these parents this stuff if they haven't gone through it?
That is part of the formal training, giving them a toolbox. And then they have a clinical specialist that's working with them for those unique situations. So we give them a broad, a 4-inch paintbrush. And when they're in training, and there's big swaths of these are tools and these are things like that. And then when you get your Pacific child, then we get the pencil drawing out sort of thing and say, okay, this is the one you're going to use for this child. And those sort of differences, that there's broad strokes to start with and big categories, because we don't know what child's going to match with you because we don't know you yet. And so that is a big step in the journey together, is finding out who you are and teaching you the skills that you need. And some skills you'll never need. Like if you like going out for walks and long walks and just be quiet, and that's what the child needs, we don't have to teach you that. That's part of your core values. So we want to build on your core strengths and then build the environmental safety, the physical safety, and the rationale that I can rely on this person, that if I throw something, I'm probably not going to get the thing given back to me. So if you throw the Nintendo at me, I'm just probably going to put the Nintendo away until we've got a better plan about how to look after things. And you don't know how that's going to happen, what's going to happen. Every child's different, but these are just children, and every child has a different way to react. And so broad brushes to start in training, and then the clinical specialists will give you the fine drawing pencils to shade in the middle bits.
Now, you mentioned on a previous episode that there is obviously and other ones of some of the journey, and I know you mentioned the pride training. I know you've just touched on that a little bit about that it has a fancy name, but in reality what you're doing is making sure that these parents have the tools, the big brushes and the small brushes, everything they need to be able to take their own personality and skills and expertise that they bring to the table, along with all the trauma-informed and therapeutic knowledge and skill set that we know they need to have, so that they are as equipped as possible to be able to modify or adapt that training and knowledge for whatever child is going to potentially come through their door. Now, on average, from the moment that someone says, a parent comes in or a family come in and say, let's do this, I really want to go ahead on this journey, to the point where you said to them, do you know what, I'm now, we are ready, you are licensed to have a child or children in your, what is an average time frame of that when it comes to trauma informed and therapeutic foster care training? What's a typical time frame that would take your average family?
So we track all our families because we want to get better at what we do. So it's just over 120 days of journey from when you click on the form and you click on this link on this page, or you go to FosterVA and you fill out a form, or make a phone call directly to us, or chat on the chat bots, whichever way you find comfortable to talk to us. We start the clock from that day. Some parents will go to 250 days. They may not be paperwork junkies and really know how to fill out all the paperwork that the state insists, which means we insist. And so it is a paper minefield. You're not going to get a child unless you tell us that your dog's got a license and it's got rabies shots and things like that, and you've got a car that's got 4 wheels on it and it's got a safety inspection sticker on it. And there's lots of paperwork. Every policy that the state puts out is because something bad happened to somebody else. So we didn't create this book. It's a big book, but we do this all the time. We license between 5 and 10 parents a month. And so everybody's in a different part of that journey. So that's a big piece of it. But if you are a professional paperwork pusher in the child welfare environment or courts, or you just know how to push paperwork, I think our record holders are in the 40 days, 40 to 45 days. But that's because they are open to doing the training. They know how to get to the fingerprints, get the fingerprints done. They know where the police station
all lined up.
And they know they say, and some of them even come with children. They're the ones that just blow me away when they find the child somewhere in Virginia or somewhere in the country and say, I found a child that's in a residential and I want to be their foster to adoptive parents. I know that termination of parental rights has taken place, and I just want this kid out of a residential, a hospital, and I'm ready for them. I have the skills. I just want to get licensed. And when you've got that level of motivation in a family and a level of skill, then you're getting down below the 60s. But you have to have drive. So 120 is the norm, but it can be done. We'll run as fast as you can, but we don't want to run over you.
I think that's a really great way to put it, because what we don't want to do is then have people go, oh my goodness, I feel overwhelmed by that because I can't necessarily work to that standard, and say like the whole experience is tailored completely for the foster parents and the families, like you say, to go at their pace so that they will be ready when they are ready.
That is correct. It takes an awful lot of contacts to think about becoming a foster parent. Yeah. And then when the reality of a training and you hear something, you may go, yeah, I'm not quite ready yet. And we'll go, that's fine. We'll send you a newsletter once a month, and then you can click on the link when you're ready. And I have many parents that will turn up a year, 18 months later from that first contact to us and say, I'm ready. All my ducks are lined up. I've moved into the nice house that's got a spare bedroom, and I've got a place for the child to go. All construction's finished. I've got my new job, because we don't want certain life events to be involved when you're trying to get ready to become a foster parent. So if you just had a baby, it's probably not the best time to become a foster parent. We want you to be able to focus on your new child, and then we'll be ready for you, sort of thing. If your parent has just died, let's wait a little while. Let's let you heal a little while. So when we're talking to you about those sort of things, we want to give you the guidance that it's not right for you at this moment. It's the right journey. The timing is not right. So a few moons have to align for us to be able to accept you as a foster parent. And it is an acceptance. This is a license. This is a choice that we have to make with every parent, that we feel that you have the skills, the dedication, and the need and want, and the guidance and the spiritual guide, whatever it is, we want to see that and make sure you're ready for taking on this beautiful child that just needs a loving, safe home, and you're able to give them the services that they need to be successful and hopefully reunite. If not, an awful lot of our parents will adopt these children, even if they only just come in because it's like, you're going to send them to an adoptive home, but I want to keep them. And it's like, okay, well, you get first dibs, sort of thing. Well,
that leads me on to the next question is, with this level of training that you guys provide, what difference does that make to a child that's coming from a trauma background? Of which we know, like you said on a previous episode, nearly every child coming in is coming with a trauma background, but it can vary according to what their circumstances are. But the fact that you provide this trauma-informed care, this training specifically in trauma-informed care, what difference is that going to make to that child's future?
Hopefully stability in placement. So when they're going to the home, they're going to stay in that home all the way through the journey. We do not want the children jumping from home to home to home because they don't have the stability of a parent that's got the skills. So making the match is so important. Yeah. So I think from a child's perspective, one and done would be the perfect journey. Yeah. That you go into one house and then you go back to your parents when your parents have got, your biological parents have got everything together and they can go back home. If that is not the case, and they have to come into foster care, and then it's decided by the courts and the court process that's termination of parental rights, and then the adoptive process takes place. And Virginia is very slow. It's one of the slower states to move into adoption, which is a challenge for some children when they are just in this limbo land sort of thing. To have one household that's looking after them, and then they may have been there for a year while the process is going through, while the parents are trying to do their thing, get the kids back and trying to get all their ducks lined up and get clean from drugs and get a house, get a job, all the things that can be barriers, because that is the most important thing to get them back home. If that's not going to work, what a wonderful step if they don't have to move to a new family, learn new expectations, new structures, new personalities, and this family can adopt them. We have parents that want to adopt straight from the go, and that's where they come into the process. They just want to be adoptive parents, and they have to do respite with us because we want to give them skills so they're not just having this new child. And we can talk about respite another day, but it is a part of the journey that we want to give you skills so that you can be successful with this child. But so many parents will just transition from a foster parent into the adoptive parent. And so being one placement, and then for that loving family, that loving home, that loving parent, how can we do better than that? So if you're the right person for that, then that's the people we're looking for.
Now, lastly, before we wrap up today's episode, flipping over a little bit now, we've talked about the children and we've talked about the families and the parents. You mentioned on a previous episode about how predominantly therapeutic foster care, treatment-based foster care is very much in the private sector. Mm-hmm. But obviously in the process of that, you are having to work with social workers, DSS advocates. You're still having to work with those people and those groups to be able to have that partnership between the two. How do you find that in day-to-day practice when it comes to working in a trauma-informed care environment? Because we are likely to have potentially people watching this who are children's advocates from DSS or from other departments. What do you find that a smooth process? Are there things, because I know that it's something that you guys do really, really well.
All our partners are very strong, and everybody's here for the right reason, for the child's welfare and returning home. I think the biggest challenge that the private and the public sector is stability of your agency, making sure that our staff are well looked after from their own lives, so they're well paid, they've got good health benefits, they've got good education, all these things that make a employee, a member of my team, a member of DSS, that they are not overworked, they're not overstretched, so that we don't have the turnover. I think the turnover is the greatest challenge for all human services agencies. And if you have that stability, and I've got staff that are in double digits, one getting close to 20 years with me, so when you have that stability within agencies, that gives you support to be able to be very good at what you do. If you're changing heads in meetings all the time, having a consistent plan is probably the most challenging part. So Department of Social Services has changing all the time. It's a stepping stone for most people in their career. They go to DSS, they do a couple of years, get lots of high quality skills, good high quality training, and then they move on to a different sector to develop their careers professionally, become therapists and things like that, or they get their master's degrees and they move around. So that becomes very challenging. Some agencies have great stability, but some have real high turnover. And so schools, which is another great partner of ours, they have more stability, because who doesn't want to have a great vacation policy like the school people sort of thing? Or the social workers and things are very stable, and they'll do 20, 30 years without trying. And you know those people all the time around the table because they've got the balance of life and learning, and they're well educated. They fought for this position. Then you've got the volunteers, and the volunteers are a big part as well. So like CUSA, Court Appointed Special Advocates, which is, I believe, is one of the best agencies in the volunteer sector for helping our children to fight for their corner outside of the bureaucracy of all of us. They're there fighting. So they're very stable as well. They have great volunteers, and CUSA is another organization that just does it right. So when you've got them on your table and a child's got one of those in their corner, that's a fabulous place to be. So finding psychiatrists is a huge challenge. Finding that medical support where you're not a revolving door doing 15-minute interviews with the child to get medical support. finding GPs, all these people that are part of the treatment team are challenged because of time and resources. And so it's up to us to find the right doctors, the right psychiatrists to be able to get in and see these people, because sometimes it takes months to get an appointment because they're so under-resourced. And that's part of the bigger problem within the US, is that we're not producing enough human service professionals, medical, psychiatric, social workers, that can support the level of need to keep the ratios right. And of course, we are a taxpayer-driven environment. Our taxes pay for our services. And so we have to be very careful about the resources we're given. We don't want to be wasteful, but turnover is a problem. And so making sure that everybody in the team has as much stability, and that's the directors of social services, directors of education, CEOs of private sector companies, boards of charitables, all working together to give the child stability in who around that table fighting for their success to get this child back home.
Brilliant, brilliant. And I know, and we will touch on this on another episode, I know one of the things that is really important to you is consistently looking at your methods, your processes, your resources, your tools, and how can you continue to make things easier for you guys to work with child advocates within DSS, etc. And I know that that's something you're constantly evolving, and we will touch on that.
I'm very passionate about it, because I think it's all of us. It's definitely the village coming together for one child.
Yeah, brilliant, brilliant. Well, thank you so much for chatting with us today, Richard. If any of you listening here today want to connect with Richard personally, you will find him on LinkedIn. /Richard Kingswell. You will find him there. If you want to connect with any of the team at Extra Special Parents, that will be www.ESPVA.org. Or you want to go to our incredible resource page, which is FosterVA.org. And if you put /free guide, you will be able to get hold of Richard's 45-page guide, which is a comprehensive guide to fostering and adoption in Virginia. And you can get that absolutely free, because we do love a freebie. Everyone loves a freebie, don't they, Richard? Thank you for your time today. Really, really appreciate you sharing your knowledge with us all.
Thank you, Nikki. It's always a pleasure.
Yeah, fantastic. And thank you so much to everyone for joining us. And we will catch up with you on the next episode. Okay, take care now. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.